Secretary, distinguished guests, dear colleagues, dear friends, energy is the lifeblood of our society, and its importance is ever growing, as is its presence in our lives. And speaking this morning, I will use a wide concept of energy. In this day and age, we have almost as many sources for energy as we have uses for it. Traditionally, in my country, in Sweden, we were very dependent on fossil fuels, which turned out to be a very expensive solution and one which made us very vulnerable to outside shocks. In this day and age, we have more options that are available to all of us today. And one of the lessons we have learned and implemented is on how we replace those fossil fuel energy sources with renewable ones, with a will to change and serious investments in our common future. And I would like to congratulate India on emerging as a leader in the global struggle against climate change. This is a key part of this journey, and one which illustrates the importance of the reduction of emissions. Traditionally, again, we have seen that economic growth and CO2 emissions have gone hand in hand through modern history. This is not necessarily the case, and in my country, in Sweden, we have shown that a decoupling is possible. Since we decided to reduce our use of fossil fuels in the 1970s, as a reaction to increased pollution, and against a reaction against the other negative side effects we saw of the fossil fuel dependency, we have cut our per capita CO2 emissions by more than half, while increasing our GDP per capita 10 times. This journey has been made possible through investments in renewable energy and in energy efficiency. And today, more than 50% of the total Swedish energy production comes from renewable sources. Again, this is energy in a very wide sense. My government has also recently adopted a climate law, which entered into force on the 1st of January 2018, as part of a comprehensive climate policy framework, which includes ambitious long-term goals and an independent climate policy council. All this is part and parcel of our efforts to comply with our commitments in the Paris Agreement. And with this, we aim to have net zero emissions by 2045. We also use taxation, among other measures, as steering instruments for this transition, incentivizing clean practices and disincentivizing or penalizing polluting behaviors and choices, regardless of technology and measured by pollution emissions. As I said, today more than 50% of the total Swedish energy production comes from renewable sources. And in some areas we have already moved away completely from fossil fuels. One such area is public transport, where out of 2,100 buses in Stockholm, our capital, only one still runs on diesel, and it will shortly be phased out. This year, Stockholm will become the first capital in the world where all mass transit is powered through renewables. We have chosen to focus on biogas as the main fuel for urban bus transports. And there is a Swedish company, Scania, which has already brought a pilot solution of this kind into India. And there are also other options out there. You're all aware of them, of biodiesel, CNG, ethanol, electricity, etc. I think the best thing to be said about it is that they all work and you don't have to settle for one. Again, we have chosen to be technology agnostic and measure by pollution emissions. Another good thing with the renewable side is the degree of energy independence that it offers. Each country can make its own renewables, and the biogas that we use in Stockholm's buses is a byproduct from a wastewater treatment plant. Which brings me to the issue brought up initially by Dr. Gupta, and everyone in India knows that Sweden loves its waste. Other countries can be famous for chocolate or cars, but everywhere I go in India, people ask me about Sweden importing waste. And yes, it's true, we do. However, I will explain a little bit about how it works and why I don't think that is the solution that India can import straight off. At least not in the sense of exporting our trash to Sweden or another country. What happens is this. Municipal authorities all over Sweden have invested in first collection and sorting facilities of all trash, which means that basically everyone, including myself, has 6 bins under their sink, color-coded, where everything which is recyclable goes in different ones. And that sorting system is then kept throughout the system. With that, the remainders, what cannot be sorted and recycled, solid waste goes into incineration facilities where the energy is taken care of and mainly transformed into heating. And the technology for that is quite close to cooling, so the applications in India are a little bit different than the ones we see in a northern country, but possible and doable. The liquid waste, the sewage waste basically, is transformed into biofuels and used in our public bus system. About 1% of the waste goes to landfill. And yes, with so many municipalities having invested in the technology and the facilities for this, we do have an overcapacity. So incinerating some of our neighboring countries' trash is a service we sell to some of them. As I think my explanation illustrated, it's a solution. A waste to energy is a fantastic thing, but it requires planning and a systematic approach, starting with the waste collection and then treatment. So it starts with us all about recycling. We looked forward to a future constructive collaboration on these issues, both at the bilateral and at the global level, as well as with key states in India. And as I started by saying, I really enjoy being back in Hyderabad. I think we see fantastic things coming out of Telangana state, and it's emerging as a very interesting destination for business and for development in India. And we look forward to further close interactions in the future. Thank you very much.